Hello everyone, so we're just going to do another update on the storm. To be quite honest with you folks, I'm not really confident in this forecast. I'm still trying to completely understand all of the pieces of the storm that are coming together, and AccuWeather meteorologists Bernie Rayno and Jim Dickey have tried to explain to me what's going to happen with the two disturbances coming together over here, and quite frankly I'm still having trouble with putting the pieces together. They've done a really good job, though, at explaining things to me, and I really appreciate that. But so, consequently, my low level of understanding with how this is going to play out leads to my low confidence forecast. However, the one thing I am sure about is in the latest model runs, I have noticed a westward trend. That's the main thing. And because of that, I have brought my 6 to 12 line back a little bit, but not my 3 to 6 line, because I'm not confident in that yet. But we'll get to that in a minute. But this is the American model, the GFS. So we are. This is tonight. You have your initial. This is your initial wave here. This little piece that's going to be forming your storm down in the Gulf. In the back, you have your trough that's going to be coming in to swing that to either steer this out to sea or up. And it looks to be somewhere in between right now. It's not going to come up along the coast. That's not likely. And the tilt of this trough, whether it's negative, neutral, or positive, is going to play a huge role in where the storm goes and how far west precipitation comes back. Okay? So this is going to come south. Here it is now. This is your initial wave. Initial wave, trough. Initial wave, trough. Initial wave, trough. Okay. Alright, now your initial wave is out here. Notice that your trough is starting to become negatively tilted. However, it's not any more negatively tilted than it is in the old run. If you want to take a look, it's about the same as in the old run. Okay, so now, because this becomes negatively tilted, your storm is going to start to shift a little bit to the north. Notice how it's kind of like it looks like you have two low pressure centers here. As the disturbances come together, this is going to be elongated because you have two different disturbances coming together. So you might have one low pressure center out here, one over here. And these two are going to consolidate at one point. And when this trough starts to close off on the low pressure area, it's going to start to strengthen. And the earlier it does that and the farther west it closes off, then the farther west your axis of heavy snow is going to make it. So here's the next run. We are already at 988. Okay? So we're starting to strengthen this thing a little bit. There's your precipitation map. That's starting to come up the coast a little bit. If you look at your old run, notice how we're at 996. We don't see a 988. So the trend I'm starting to notice is that the GFS is strengthening the low a little bit quicker now. Okay? And then here's the next run. We're down to 972. Okay, 972. And you can see that the trough is starting to close off over here. Now if you come back to your old run, you can see that the trough is also starting to close off here, but you're only at 976. So what that tells me is that in the new run, this trough is closing off a little bit earlier. That's what it looks like to me. I'm not sure if that's correct. I actually see a more of a better signature of closing off in this run. But what I notice here is that this piece of wind energy is starting to wrap around the low more than the wind energy in this one is. This is still a little bit further back than for the wrapping around area. I see what you want to look for the closed trough is you want to see the strongest energy wrapping around. And if you notice you can see how this is wrapping around more. This is the new run, so new run, old run, new run, old run, new run, old run. And also, look at your low. This is the old run. This is the new run, 972, and it's a little further west. Actually, no, it's in the same position. My mistake. It's just a little bit stronger. So, old run, new run. You're already at 972. 976 old run, 972 new run. So, lower pressure means stronger storm. And if that is true, then your precipitation should be able to make it back further west. And the GFS is not showing that, which is why I'm a little concerned. Alright, now, Canadian model is showing the same thing. Let's look at the new run of the Canadian model. Alright, so we are on Tuesday evening. Alright, here we are. Hold on. Here we are. Alright, so this is the new run of the Canadian model, okay? So, notice again, you have a pretty distinct signature of the low closing off. Look at the old run now. So, new run, old run. It's not closed off yet. New run, old run. New run, old run. Notice how much further west it is in the new run. You see that? You see, it's all the way over here. And then in the new run, it's old run, it's all the way back over here, further east. Look at your low now. Old run, new run. It's further west in the new run. Old run, new run. And look at your precipitation map. This is the new run, old run, further east. New run, old run. You see, the Canadian model has this coming much further west in the new run. So that's the difference. So then look at it here. Look at it here. So, new run, old run. New run, old run. This is the Canadian. So new run this afternoon, old run this morning. It's a lot further east this morning. And notice how you have more wind energy wrapping around. So, you have more wind energy wrapping around. This is the new run, old run. It's closing off further to the north. It's closing off further to the south in the new run here. I'm sorry if you feel like I'm going all over the place. I hope I'm keeping up here. And this is your precipitation map. Pay attention to the red and the green. This is the new run, the old run. Look at how much further to the east that is. New run, old run. So I've given you the idea now that there's been a westward shift in the models. At least the Canadian and the American GFS models. The European actually shifted a little bit further to the east earlier today. However, it still brings in a decent amount of snow into quite a few areas. If you want to look at the Euro, we're just going to go here. So here we go. This is at 1 a.m. Wednesday morning. This is the new run. This is the old run. You can see it's kind of making it further north, the heavy precipitation. Alright, now we're going to come back here. 7 a.m. This is 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. Wednesday. Your low is here. You have heavy precipitation, heavy snow, extending back into, looks like Montauk Point here, along the South Fork, over across Cape Cod, extending back into Boston, moderate snow, extending back over, looks like, what's the name of that road? Looks like, over, I think that's Route 105 on Long Island, if I'm correct. East of William Floyd. Definitely east of William Floyd. You have moderate snow there. In the old run, a little bit further west. It's hard to tell, but this is a little bit further west. You see the yellows coming all the way back into Boston now. In the new run, the green is in Boston, so it's further east in the new run. So that's the European. The European shifted further east. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if in the next run of the European that comes in later tonight, it's a little bit farther west. Because what I've noticed is that the trough, in the new model runs, the trough starts to close off earlier, the low starts to close off earlier, and consequently it comes further west. Now here's the thing I'm worried about with this. I still think there could also be a shift east, because I'm not seeing the negative tilt in the western trough as much as I'd like to see it. I think there could be a better negative tilt there. Okay, now I just wanted to give you an idea of, excuse me for a second, the difference, another difference in the model runs here. We're on weather bell right now. I just want to show you what the strength of the low is going to be according to the European model when it's closest to us on Long Island. I mean, since when I ever say closest to us, my forecast focus on New York City and Long Island, so that's what I'm referring to most of the time. But I do try to cover the entire eastern seaboard here with this storm. Now this is the European, 956. GFS, 958. And the Canadian mile is also at 958. And also, notice that the precip shield on the European is much further west than on the GFS. The European brings the precip shield further west, probably because the low is stronger. I think the European does a much better job with the precipitation shield on the western side of the storm. I think the American model is not picking it up. However, I think the Canadian model is starting to pick it up. And it is because of that I have adjusted my 6 to 12 line further west. That's the main reason, because, well, two reasons. One, I really do think that some of the models are underdoing precipitation on the western side of the storm. And number two, I've noticed a westward trend, with the low closing off a little bit earlier, the trough closing off a little bit earlier. Alright, the last thing I'm going to show you is in the most recent model run of the European here. This is what we have predicted. Oh, I'm sorry, that is not snow. Here we go. This is what we have predicted now. This is the European. So the European brings an area of 6 to 12 over the southeastern coast of Maine here, extending back over the ocean, back into Cape Cod, where you're also going to get 8 to 12, I think. And then you have 6 extending back in here, possibly as far west as, south of Boston here, the 6 line. And then you have you have up to 4 inches over eastern Long Island, up to 5 in some locations here. And then that 2-inch line cuts across here. And then you have basically a 1 to 3 back in this entire area here, according to the European. And this is the solution I agree with, although my 6 to 12 line is actually a little bit farther west now, based on the current trends with the models. Alright, now, GFS, hold on a second, this is not what I wanted. Sorry, I know I'm going slow, I'm tired. Alright, notice how the GFS doesn't even bring in more than 2 inches along the Cape. I don't think that's right. I think that's completely wrong. It brings in most of the heavy snow over Atlantic Canada, which is definitely going to be the case. But, again, now the other thing, the Canadian is picking up on more snow back into here. So let's just look at that quick. Alright, we're going to have to do it in the next video because I'm running out. I can't go over 15 minutes. Alright, so we'll be back next video.